we ever voted on it, but we went with it.
Yeah.
But just to tell you as we go forward, the lady from the technical center, I asked her, I was like, well, we're going to go with this. And she said, this is the right one.
Yeah, when you say technical center, who are they?
Down at...
County?
Yes, the county
Okay.
one. That's the
Okay.
ones that answer the call when I call them.
Okay.
But they're all down there together.
Okay.
The municipality and the county one. They're all at that technical.
Right.
Anyways, if this is the one, she told me that going forward we need to check our compensating controls. But they're probably covered. So I'm not sure if this is the job description he gave us or not. But she just said y'all should make sure you have compensating controls because they weren't listed.
Put together wrote out some of my questions and,
Oh, great.
possible questions going over whatever everybody else was doing. Because these things, I don't know what all that entails.
Yeah, I don't know what package we're offering. I have looked at. Have you read the audit report of the Resource Authority?
No.
So that's where you need to go. It's got a lot of really great information.
Okay.
You'll find in there it will talk a lot about the benefit package and the matching.
Okay.
Here currently we have about 7 employees, and for that our expense is about $165,000 a year for medical.
Okay.
So and then we have I think we have a 401 with a matching fees. Also, other things you should know, our workforce is probably nearing turnover. We have a lot of senior employees here
Yeah.
that they've been here a while.
Because I had talked to Larry one time, has he done anything to kind of develop some subordinates and whatnot, and then he could have done, I think that was done very well, or just no emphasis or no focus on that.
So,
And that's kind of a question, I think, for this guy.
yeah, so as far as like what we have that we're offering, all I've read is what's in the audit report.
Yeah.
And it's really a quite lengthy document with a lot of good information in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably learn more from it than anything.
Yeah, I'll look at that. Yeah, and your relocation bonds.
And I don't know, I think, a lot of people are wanting to move here.
Yeah. And, I've been involved with the chamber, just as somebody's trying to sell us on hiring them, we need to sell them on this market in this area too.
I think we're a hot market.
And I picked up, and I'm sure Hendersonville's got something similar to that, but I stopped by today and picked up their welcome packet they send out to people. So, we can send some stuff. I don't know if the county has anything like that, but anything we can send this person or persons that comes to the top of the list, some of the attractive features of this area, I think will help.
Well, the county has a whole tourism department.
Yeah,
We have
I
about
knew that.
4 employees there. They have some beautiful brochures.
So, I think we can send some stuff out to this person. Try to sell this thing.
It shouldn't be that hard of a sale. I've talked to many solid waste managers across the state about what their facilities do, what they do, and
Because when we talk, what's going on,
Hey,
Mr.
Larry.
Larry?
How you doing?
Short time.
Yeah, you should be smiling a whole lot bigger.
Yeah, I'll tell you, retirement's the best thing ever.
Is it? I hope so.
6 Saturdays and a Sunday.
Let's see.
6 Saturdays in the Sunday.
That's pretty good. I've never heard that one.
No?
No, I've not heard that one. I don't know that many people in my life that's retired though. I
You're
mean, I
too
think they
young.
retired and they move away.
You're too young.
Well, no, it's not that. They just move away. Just don't keep up with what's going on with people.
Yeah, Larry, we used to say in the Army, we say every day in the Army's like Sunday on the farm. Maybe that'll be like retirement for you, Sunday on the farm.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you have any copies of the past audit reports? I was just telling Rick, I mean, he can pull them up electronically, but it's,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, the last one you gave me, when I was at the county building, David Lawing took it out of my hand. If you had another copy,
I sent them one.
I don't know, that day,
I always
like,
send them one.
he's like, can I look at that? And that's the last time I saw it.
Okay.
I know he's got one, but
I do too.
do you got any more? I'm asking, do you have any more
Yeah,
printed
so,
ones?
yeah.
When did the Resource Authority stop bleeding money? I mean, I'm using Butch's words. Was it just when we shut down the power plant, things got better?
Yeah, it was about that time, yeah.
We laid off all those,
2005,
did y'all lay
2006.
off those employees?
Yes, we did.
That's a hard day. That's a lot of people.
It was tough.
That's tough.
I'd worked with all those people for a
How
long
many
time.
folks was it, Larry, that was let go?
All in all, by the time we got finished, was about 55 or 60. 50, somewhere, 45, 50, something like that. Yeah, yeah, that was tough. But it went really well, actually. I was pleasantly surprised by how well it went.
What's up?
It's your world, son. I'm just
We
passing
worked
through.
up a severance package that we offered to people to get to stay till we got everything shut down, and most people did, and it worked out fairly well.
I'm trying to think, if your whole, I mean, that would be close enough to your whole business shutting down. Do they get an education package with that? I forget what that's called.
No, not at the time, no.
There you go, Rick.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So like I said, there's a lot of stuff to learn.
You got another one?
Yeah. Here's those things you call and ask me about.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I keep
No, you're
talking
fine.
over your feet here.
It's eased up a little bit today.
Yeah, it was busy earlier, but came that little bit of rain around noon. It started slowing down. It's kind of tapered off this afternoon.
Jim, for our next meeting, I'll have the write-up from the two banks on the proposals for the insured cash deposit, or whatever they call it, and
Okay.
and just the
Good.
general account. So we can have some insured get
Is
some.
one of them, what's the interest rate?
Well, I had talked with one of them some time ago, but the Fed, they've power moved the rates once again, so I just wanted to wait, a few days before and just find out what the last one is. And when I was in the business, I used to have people play off me, and I'll tell both of them, I said, listen, I just want a rate, and I'm not gonna go back and forth and say, okay, well, can you beat this? Can you beat that? No, just give me your best rate, and I'll bring it to the board.
That's right. That's across town. Yep. I miss my nap today.
Miss your nap. Oh, man. See, that's one thing you get to look forward to is a nap, right?
That's right. Now, our high school still gets together for lunch once a month.
Yeah.
That's 20 of us there today.
Which high school was
That's
that?
probably.
Isaac Clinton.
Isaac Clinton, okay, well, I haven't heard that name in a while.
I know, well, it's been closed longer than it was open.
Is that right?
Been out of high school 65 years.
Wow.
I remember going to my 10-year reunion at Gallatin, and then they had the 20-year going. I said, man, those people sure are old.
They're getting old, yeah.
Yeah, here we
You ought
are.
to see them now.
I know. I said, well, Miss Wilma Phillips, she had her birthday yesterday, today. She's 93 years old, going strong.
Yeah. It's a blessing.
Especially if you got a good quality of life,
Well, these ladies calm down, don't they?
Yeah.
I keep thinking, I got some electronic equipment, I got rid of Uverse
Mm-hmm.
and my modem and all that, they said throw it away. Now, do I still put that in that first dump up there?
There's a cardboard Gaylord box there.
Yeah.
Right inside that canopy there, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So you cut the cord too?
Cut the cord on Uverse, well, it's going away. That's what they told me.
Yeah.
And I don't have, of course,
I did.
you know,
Did
channel
that
two.
a month ago, yeah. I've got strictly streaming now. I like it all right.
Oh, I do
It
too.
it takes getting used to a little bit.
It,
Got one of those Hulu Live bundle with Disney Plus, ESPN Plus.
you got that.
Mm-hmm. I like it pretty well.
I wouldn't direct, that's not direct.
Yeah, I looked at them. It was a little bit higher than Hulu at the time.
Yeah, well,
What is white goods?
It's like refrigerators, washers, dryers.
Appliances.
Yeah,
Like, okay. Even if they're harvest yellow, they'd still be white goods.
yeah, yeah.
You see any of those harvest yellow? Or gold, it's harvest gold,
Not
right?
many anymore.
Not
Most
many.
of them are, a lot of them are white. You see a lot of white ones in here. But no, not very many.
you don't buy many now.
They're just about
Gone.
phased out. If you see one in a house, it's really retro.
It's nothing to $2,000 more fix.
That's true.
For some period of time. I bought a Montgomery Ward years and years ago. Had that thing for probably refrigerator for probably 30 years. Never had any problems with it. Finally quit. I moved it all over the country. went down to the, after it finally quit after 30, 35 years, I went down to the Sears thing and picked up one. I said, this is gonna last 30 years. Said maybe 5, 6.
They say 8 now.
Is that right?
Wow.
They don't even sell gaskets now.
No, I know.
Yeah, the gasket wears out around the door.
Like the old DVD players. Cost $100 to fix it. Didn't matter what was wrong, it was gonna be $100.
Is that our new truck?
No, not that one. We usually keep it parked right out here on the corner, but I saw him come around with a dumpster that he was working on there a while ago, so it's probably back in the back. No, that's a customer's dumpster there.
Larry, somebody asked me the other day how those, I'll call it torpedo truck, those long trucks, how are they loaded and unloaded?
It's, there's a compactor back
I was
there.
thinking it's gotta be something that'll push it
Yeah,
out too.
They back the trailers into the compactor, and there's
Okay.
the way the back of the trailer's set up, it's got a locking mechanism that
Right.
locks it into the compactor, so you start
I see.
pushing it in. And then, they've got it set at a certain compaction,
Okay.
pressure rate. Once it hits that, there's an alarm that goes off on the compactor,
Cool.
lights flash, and
Out they
they
go.
unhook and go out with it, close the doors, take off, yeah.
Same thing when they get to where they're going, they just push it all out. Huh?
Well, it's, they've got a, what they call a tipper at the landfill.
Okay.
So the driver backs onto the tipper,
Okay.
unhooks the fifth wheel from the trailer and the airlines, and that tipper picks the whole trailer
Really?
up.
Picks it
Yeah,
up. Okay.
and dumps it, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to,
How long have you had those trucks?
Not long.
no, we probably only had the compactors probably a year,
I was
maybe,
gonna say a year or less.
somewhere along in there, about a year.
Keep stuff from blowing out.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They work a whole lot better as far as litter control and that kind
Oh,
of
yeah,
thing.
for sure, yeah.
And they're safer too, because with the open top, tipper trailers,
Yeah, yeah.
once they got those full, you load them from the top, and somebody has to get up on top and walk across and roll the tarp out. So there's a lot of negativity to those things.
Yeah. Opportunity to spill, blow out.
Yeah. Plus get hurt on top of one of
That's
them.
true, yeah.
Fooling like stuff.
Who knows what's underneath there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
Right.
And if you also, after getting kicked in the teeth, then you can't still control the phone.
All right.
What's up, Miss Mary?
Then,
Hey, girl.
Looks like you're ready for surgery.
I should be. I felt like it all day.
Some brain surgery.
Yeah. Open up the top and see what's in there.
If anything, huh?
Yeah. Kinda get an idea of what's cooking in there. So how are you all doing?
good.
Do I do everything? Yeah, good.
So, whatever you find,
Do we have a paper, agenda paper or anything like that?
No,
it gets
on the agenda,
Just a,
the only one thing we can talk about.
yeah.
abs.
So this is just about interviewing people, right?
Yeah, it's kind of coming up there, kind of top 4 or whatever.
Top 3 or 4.
3 or 4 in
Doesn't
questions.
matter, yeah.
Yeah.
Do I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Huh?
What'd you just say?
I said 3 or 4, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I think we don't care if we get too many.
Hell, yeah. And
I agree.
I mean, I don't know how everybody else did it. I guess we can go and get started, didn't you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just kind of rank ordered mine 1 through 4, and, you know, at the end of the day, I thought we had some really quality resumes. It's almost like a coin toss, those top 3 or
Right.
so. And I don't know if we just need to kind of roll our cards out on the table and just kind of see who we got.
Okay.
I'll just start the 4 that I thought were the best qualified was this Mark Meadows and Ricker, the Brown, and I think it's Biberly. Those were the 4 that kind of stood out to me. I could have missed some, and certainly open to anybody else's.
What was the third name?
Brown, William Brown, and Briley,
Ricker.
B-Y-E-R-L-Y. Meadows, Ricker, Brown, and Byerly. That's
Okay.
just kind of my top 4.
So I will, well, it's like Old Maid. I can match you with Meadows and Briarly were my 2 top choices.
Yep.
So those were my 2 top.
Did you get Ricker or Brown?
I did not. But I do have others, but these were my 2 top.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
My top choice was Tracy Thurman, who I thought had a lot of experience. Was very
I
knowledgeable.
didn't catch that name very good.
Tracy Thurman,
Brown?
yeah. And Chris Colby was my second one. And then Mark Meadows is in that mix for my third one. And I didn't have Byerly. I left a message and never got a return call. Yeah, so those are the ones that I chose.
What about you, Mr. Jim?
Well, I had Brown and Ricker and Bowerly. Those were 3 of my top.
And I also had Thurman from your list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought she was SWANC certified. She had a great deal of experience in management, city government. She was already working with a waste management company out of Kentucky. Her son lives in Belmont, at an area, and she was moving here anyway. But she had a great deal of experience. When I talked to her, she had been through audits and things like that, and she's been doing it for a long time. So I thought she was very well qualified. She worked at a recycling center. So
I agree with all those things. That's why she made my pile.
Mr. Colby, I'll just go through mine and tell you why I thought they were alright. Mr. Colby worked for, Bridgestone and CP Laws, very knowledgeable. I did some due diligence on him. I talked to people that know him and worked with him and said that he was extremely well qualified, very skilled in his work. He had done transfer of hazardous, he was in charge of hazardous waste transfers and management of, just like they do here, movement of waste and things like that. So I felt that he had the background for management as well. And he's local, he lives in
What
Hendersonville.
was his name again, Mary? I'm sorry.
Chris Colby, he was on the no list, but when I pulled him out and I started looking at it, you know, I felt like putting a restriction that you had to have 2 years of solid waste was, his was in solid waste, it just didn't clearly show it in the,
Right.
in the thing. So he's the one that came to our meeting and told us who he was, so. And then Mark Meadows, he's qualified, similar stuff. He's out of Texas, so you're gonna be looking at costs of relocations too.
Yeah, I liked him because he had a master's in environmental science, looked like 20 years experience, industry experience, and managed multiple landfills.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of
Yeah.
resonated
So
with me.
what did you talk to him about moving here?
I didn't talk to him.
You haven't talked to
No,
him?
I didn't talk to him.
I didn't
Oh.
talk to
I
anybody.
wanted to wait
Oh.
until,
Oh,
I
okay.
know what I could,
Well, I had
could
already
not
talked
do.
to him, so.
yeah.
Anyway, that's what I know in
Yeah.
a nutshell. Hello, lady.
Ladies, here you go.
Good to see you.
So Meadows, I believe, was on your list, Rick, my list, Mary's list.
Go
I
ahead,
don't know.
I didn't pick those, that's okay.
But I was gonna say, but not, yeah.
The
that's
three of you
okay.
got, that's fine with me, putting those in there.
But I think, in a way, it might, you know,
What about Ricker? Everybody got Ricker?
I do not have
I
Ricker.
had Ricker, civil engineering degree, public and private solid waste management.
He was in, I looked at that one.
And I looked at him online. I did not print his. If so, you have a print, can I look at it again?
Yeah, he's solid waste 2011 to September 22 as a district manager for Waste Connections, but he was only in solid waste manager since 2022 to now, for less than a year. Transfer operations, construction inspector, civil engineer. That makes sense to be in construction.
Here you go.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, Larry looked at these. Can we get his,
What'd you get?
his thoughts?
Yeah, what you got, Larry?
No certain order here. I've got Ricker, Brown, Barrett, Byerly, and I pulled Meadows out. I didn't have him originally on my cut down list, but that I did. Not that it matters, but anyway, that's who I pulled out. I have had if I can say this, I've had a conversation, not recently, but I have talked to Travis Ricker on the phone before. Back in 2020 when we were bidding the load haul dispose contract again. He was working for Connections at the landfill up in White Plains, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And he had heard that we were getting ready to bid that, and he called down here and I talked to him on the phone. And they did submit a bid on the disposal part of it at the time. And they also bid in conjunction with one of the haulers that bid on it as well. So, you know, I do know he was working there in 2020 when we bid that. So
He's in Kentucky, isn't he, Larry?
He
Is that
is, right now he's in Owensboro, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's in Madisonville, is that close? Ricker. We all see-
Says Owensboro here.
Oh, okay. I was just looking at
Davis
this.
County. But he had worked for Connections for 11 years, according to his resume.
Yeah.
here.
The lady that I spoke to, who I spoke to for about an hour,
Well, it does say Madisonville up there.
I want to say that she did talk about best practices, things that I thought we really need to, she had closed a landfill. She had a lot of experience she's had a lot of experience in different areas. And she was in government. She understood budgetary constraints, budgetary issues. She was I just thought she was well-rounded, I guess. And
Her name again, Mary, I'm sorry.
Tracy Thurman.
Thurman, okay, here, I've got her in here, sure.
Mm-hmm. So I just, and then, that's why I think.
She's like too.
And on hers, what I was impressed by is just how large of an operation she's running. She's obviously a bit more running a much larger shop than we have. But with 228 full-time employees, she's good at managing people. That jumped out. On hers, the one thing, and she was like number 3, but the thing I noticed down here, and then it was something we haven't talked to about, and maybe you can address this, Larry, is hers talks about she was on a grant committee. Can you address, have we, in the past, as the Resource Authority has had grants, I would assume, are you the grant writer?
When we've applied for them, I have been.
So that is a skill set you have. Or
Well,
were you successful?
TDEC's got, it's basically a program that you follow when you apply for grants. I hadn't applied for one in a long time, but it may be different now, but it's not all that difficult, but there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to be eligible for grants. That requires a lot of time and effort as far as Title IX stuff and things like that.
I had marked her stuff up as well.
Uh-huh.
Thurman lady.
But she did tell me she was it's not on there, she's SWANA certified, which is a solid waste accreditation thing. So I did notice that. I asked her about it and she said yes, she was certified. So.
And on the grants, congratulations to Galton. I saw that y'all got 2 new dump trucks through a grant, fully funded.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Anything you can get through a grant, because that's not an easy process to go through, those grant
So
writing.
having a grant writer person that's knowledgeable
Yeah.
is important when you're running a big business.
So
So-
we can sit here and we can talk about things, but we don't really have a method of getting
I
this.
think we just need to decide on picking
On the
4.
floor.
If you wanna throw her in the mix, that's fine.
I'd be
with
happy
me.
to put her in as well.
Put her in the
I don't have
mix.
a problem with
So we
that.
got Thurman and Ricker. So we need to pick 2 more. Did everybody pick Byerly?
No.
I had him.
I got Briley.
Yeah.
I got Coble only because I looked outside of the box, not just the ones that were marked qualified.
I liked him because he spent 5 years, and part of the thing he said is he initiated and modified a facility design plans and site improvement. And we're going to have a remodel of our old facility here. So it seems like someone that's done modification and facility design planning would be great.
He had a civil and environmental engineering degree as well.
As I recall, he's a pretty sharp dude too.
Have you, like, from his resume, or do you know him?
No, just
Or
looking
from
at
his resume? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that he spent a lot of time at the same place there in Glen Allen. He was 5 years as the engineer senior, and then he moved for 5 years as their technical advisor. And his Indeed introduction says he has family that lives in or around Old Hickory. I'm not sure if it's, which is it, but another person that wants to live in Tennessee.
Surprise.
And he converted a quarry into a compliant landfill. So if we have more landfill issues.
Meadows, how many people had Meadows?
I have Meadows.
I didn't.
Okay, just two, okay.
Well, I had him in my box.
Yeah,
That was 3, but
How many people had Brown?
I don't.
I had him.
I had Brown.
I don't.
These are the ones I have right here.
I did
Do you want to talk about Brown?
too. Well, just some of the things, like he's out of Phoenix and had a big tipping floor. What's the size? Our tipping floor, his was 43,600. Solid waste management supervisor in a big transfer station in Phoenix. And he had some other, I forget what his degrees or backgrounds were. I just kind of looked at him as being
Yeah.
a possible candidate. It sounds like, I think, general consensus on that Byerly and Ricker, at least first two, is that?
I don't have that. I put
You didn't
Tracy
have-
Thurman as my personal.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and Thurman, I don't have a problem looking at her. I had marked up her resume, I just didn't put it in my top.
Of course,
4 or 5.
I talked to him, so I got already.
Well, you got
interviewed.
some insight, yeah.
So,
Okay, so now we got Ricker and Thurman that we're gonna talk about earlier. Is that correct?
And I like Meadows.
I had Meadows.
And none of y'all picked up Meadows.
he's from Texas.
I'll tell you one reason why I had him in my list. One thing I noticed about him, he had a lot of job changes every couple of years.
I noticed, yeah,
I did look at his locations, yeah. I saw that.
yeah.
That was one thing that kind of stuck out to me.
I don't know. I went for a job interview about 5 years ago, and I always stayed where I stayed, as Little Joe. And they told me that they don't look at that anymore. They told
Well,
me.
that's true.
I thought that was wild, but that's true. They don't look at it anymore. When you hire for quality and the best one. And I just thought you should stay somewhere forever.
That's kind of old school like me. I noticed one of the people, and I don't remember which one it was, that had a lot of good experience, and then for whatever reason just got out of the business completely a year or so ago.
One of the, yeah, and they became an educator.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, something completely
Yeah, I did
different.
see that.
So I thought that was interesting. That they're
Maybe you need a
looking
break.
back. Maybe so. Grass is always green on the other side of the fence.
Or teach about it or something.
Yeah.
So we're at Thurman,
Thurman, Ricker.
Ricker.
Ricker. Byerly, did he? How many people had him?
I didn't pick.
I had Byerly.
I had Briarly. That's the one I was saying that he worked there in the environmental place in
Right,
yeah.
Glen Allen for 10 years.
Larry, did you have Byerly on your
I
radar?
did, yes, sir.
Have you put
You
him
wanna
down?
put Byerly in the stack then?
Can
Really?
I look at Ricker?
Sure.
Just
I
a-
mean,
Yeah, you want it?
here you go.
Oh, I just want to. Yeah, I just want to see this again.
Did anybody look at those two that came in late?
Rick and I discussed we couldn't determine which two came in late or where they were at.
I went back today and tried to go through the emails, and I couldn't find those
Do
two.
you have them?
I've got one of them I didn't print, let's see if I can find it.
Folks talked the other day that one of them, I think it was, the mayor said that one of them was qualified.
Yeah, one.
Yeah, I didn't print the one that said, wasn't qualified, let me see if I can find it.
So we've got some good folks here.
It's this
Oh,
one.
I'm marking up your paper, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you're fine, you're
David.
fine, don't worry about it.
Sorry, act like it's
That's
my
the
own
one I
paper.
tried to do. It
Isaac
came in
Rivas.
late. It's from up in Canada, I think, according to what I see there.
Visa issues probably have to do with that.
And I think we need to go on the assumption, these folks that sent one in from Arizona and those places, undoubtedly, they didn't mind moving. They wouldn't have sent an application.
And you know, that was a question I brought up the other day, and then the mayor said sometimes you'll have people that don't send it in, and then even though you put a salary range, they're still gonna ask for more than what your upper limit
Could
is.
very well.
Yeah.
I expect it.
Well, but,
But when it's,
you
You
know,
gotta-
it's, I would reserve my opinion about travel expenses.
So we got,
So with Ricker, he spent 5 or 6 years, he was the maintenance supervisor at a workout facility.
I took that as while he was in college, probably.
Is that what it is, you think?
It's what it appeared to me.
Okay.
Rickard, yeah,
Because I think he went to UT.
So he was getting his civil engineering
yeah,
degree.
he's got a civil
Right.
engineering degree.
And then he went there. And then he got out and he went to work at Waste Connections.
And then he became a solid waste manager.
Yeah.
And he's been there for 1 year.
All right.
Okay.
So we got those three, sure. We got those three that are top three now, looking for 4, maybe 5 on the outside.
Yeah, I looked at Colby. I really like him. He made the initiative to come and talk to us, and plus he's got good experience. Here you go. There.
And no relocation.
No relocation fee.
so we got Brown and Barrett, and who else? Anybody, maybe nobody picked Barrett.
I didn't pick Barrett.
I didn't have him.
He's from up in Gallatin.
Didn't pick him. That would be upset.
And as a fourth, the only, and I go back to just kind of my top is back to Brown and Meadows. But again, I'm fine with those three. But you know, the committee wanted 4, so just got to come up with a 4th name.
Or we could just go with 3 and if it doesn't work out, we'll go to the next group.
Yeah, they asked for 4, so let's try to come up with a 4th.
I'd like
name, I
to,
think.
can we interview the local guy that Mary has? At least
Colby?
we can say we looked at local.
This is Colby. This is what you're talking about. He looked Robert Barrett. Atomic Transport, similar to Mr. Colby. Division manager for trucking. Safe operation employee, division manager for the trucking company. Operation.
Is Colby or Barrett that you're referring to?
I'm reading out loud on this Brown guy.
Okay, Brown.
But that one is similar, and a lot of similarities to this one.
Yeah, I see the
And,
trucking.
And then
Pretty
he's,
strong.
I remember looking at that one. Barrett.
Barrett's the one that came that night to the meeting, correct?
no, Colby.
Colby, I'm sorry.
Colby.
Yeah.
Sorry. Looks like his is primarily transportation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mr.
well, let's,
What about Colby?
Colby, no, He had,
That's what they're talking.
uh,
Okay, we'll call him.
when he came, he talked about, he was logistics engineer, not an engineer, but logistic
Right.
management for like tires and hazardous
Right,
waste, and
okay.
dealt with, over, state, cause he's familiar with the state to state, interstate transport and, waste management stuff.
Spent 13, 14 years at Bridgestone.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're down to Brown, is that the next one? We leave it yea or
We were
nay?
looking at Colby right now.
It was Colby.
So do we wanna put Colby on the list, or is it an outsider, or?
I think that at least we look at him locally.
The only the reason I ask is because when you start calling to interview some of them, they may have already been gone, or, you know. We'll put it over here.
Okay, put him on
Okay. What about Mr.
there. So
Brown?
that's 4.
Four and done?
Look at Brown, and he's from Phoenix. That's it might be a long shot. That was a big operation that he was running out there.
So, are you talking about Robert?
William
William
Brown,
Brown.
Phoenix.
Sorry. Let me pull him out of here. I was looking at Brad. Shit. He's been in there.
He's got a lot of certifications.
What's that?
I
Sorry?
only brought my top picks.
Brown's
Can I
got
see
a
your
lot of
brown?
certifications.
I read them all, but my ink was running low.
There you go, there's Brown.
I didn't remember. Thank you.
Sure.
He writes his resume well.
I did not get a Brown out of the mix. It wasn't in what we printed off. Was he a late bloomer, or was he?
That was
No,
one of the
no,
ones
he-
that was
he was
in
in
the
there.
highly
Came in
qualified or
with
whatever.
Jim.
Okay, yeah, cause it's not in all these that I printed. That's weird.
Yes, I know that
Thanks.
Jason and the mayor printed off the 17 highly qualified or whatever, and that's the packet I picked up.
Yeah.
Did they have a packet?
Well, it was just a group. I said I wanted to go and print those off, and he said, well, he had a copy. I don't know who had the copy. Of
That's
the
it.
17.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just
That's-
struggling with my ink at
That's
home.
some I printed off there.
Oh, was that you, Larry, that
Well,
from,
yeah,
I think Larry or
yeah,
Jason?
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at Mr. Brown and we map up over cross-match on certification, so we have SWANA certified, we have SWANA certified, and that would be this lady here. And then you've got secure, and there was a lot of customer service with him. He did customer service. You know, I think I do remember reading this.
I remember reading this.
Yeah, and solid waste. But it doesn't say that it says 2015 present solid waste superintendent of the transfer station. It doesn't say that he is in management, it just, the superintendent? I mean, I don't know, we gotta talk to him. But he is SWANA and so is she. So, yeah, put him down. I'd say we put him in the mix. That's 5 though.
That's plenty.
Okay, so we'll put Brown. Terry, you good with Brown? This is Mr. Brown right here. I got Mrs. Brown.
She's the,
Oh, yes, it's just a
William
different font. Yeah.
Yeah, are you good? Here you go.
Thank
Mr. Brown.
Okay.
So these are our persons we're gonna do.
So the list is Brown, Ricker, Byerly,
Thurman, and Chris Coble.
So, but that's 5, and we have 7 members. If we could narrow it further, it might help, because there'll be 7 of us, and we'll do the same thing. It'll be just more of us. If we could narrow
Well, we have to
it,
interview them.
and then okay. So what would be our next step? Do we
Our
want
next
to
step
interview,
is-
and then we'll see.
Our next step would be to interview the list. and then once you interview them and then make recommendations on your top, maybe your top 3 or 2 or whatever,
We go to the board.
and go to the board.
Yeah. Just, I won't be here next week, but
Okay.
Jamie will, he'll take my place.
And I wrote out some questions that, because that was another thing we were gonna do, was look at questions. And some of those on the benefits, I'm not familiar with what those might be. You know, again, the relocation, what's
Yeah.
the policy there?
That really is a board decision. And I don't know if we could do that.
Yeah.
How much
It's
of
just a
they wanna
question,
come up
yeah.
with.
Well, you could say in your when interviewing, you know, historically, what were you looking for in a job as far as benefits?
Right.
Just word it, frame it that way.
Yeah.
Do you have a benefits policy, Larry? I haven't asked for one, but I assume there is one.
Yeah,
That would be a good place for us to start with that.
yeah.
Can we get that before we leave, or maybe now for discussion for Rick's question?
Maybe you can just email it to us.
I can do that.
Yeah. Email it to us, so we got it.
I think too, to add to your question list, because, you know, a lot of questions are be general interview questions, you know, the standards. But things specific to Larry's job, we had talked about that. And you have some of those on there, but also about management style. What, you know, how do you deal, who was your worst boss? You
Yeah.
know, your problem, what was your
Yeah.
best? You know, how do you deal with, you know, employee, how, in the past, have you dealt with employee problems, as far as dealing with, as I look out at the landscape here, you know, how do you, in your mind, because they don't know what this looks like.
Right.
I mean,
And it's not fair to hire somebody that they haven't seen this place.
And that was one of my
I agree.
questions, is
I
if we
agree
get
with
down
you.
to the
Yeah,
bottom,
they
we're
need-
gonna have somebody,
They
if we
need
get
to-
down to finance,
We
to
can
come
zoom
out
them,
here.
and we can do all that, but before they get the final deal, they need to see what we're talking
I
about.
agree, yeah.
I don't think it's fair to anybody. I've been in situations where people were hired and had no idea
yeah,
what they were getting into.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I had, what do you know do you know anything about what the future may hold as far as
Right.
getting rid of this stuff?
There's one thing
And today, I guess you read the paper this morning, the judge ruled against the deal at Middle Point.
Oh, that's not good news.
No.
Yeah, that happened the end of the week last week.
Was it, like I say, well, you read the Tennessee and it's about 6 days ago.
Well, I got a email blast on it at the end of the week last week.
Yeah. So, and all that's gonna do, is if we can't get in, if they can't go to Middle Point, then they're gonna go somewhere else. And Carthage is not that far.
exactly.
And if they overload that one, then somebody's gotta have a lot of future thinking. Of course, we've talked about a lot of things. We've got a railroad spur back here. We talked to one company that was gonna haul it off here in barges. You load it on down to the river. They're going to West Tennessee with it. I mean, a lot of stuff, but as we well know, all that is very, very expensive. We've got probably the cheapest, right now, what we're doing is as cheap as it's ever gonna be.
I do know in Florida, when you pay your taxes, you pay tax on your trash. You have to pay a tax
So,
rate.
with the thought that someone has to visit here without a job offer, no one's gonna ante up $1,000 to come and visit. We can
What we have-
suggest they can talk to Larry. Larry can walk around a camera if that's what they feel they need. But I don't think that we can ask someone to
No,
fly
we'd
in
have-
without an
We
offer.
would have to, I think we'd have to pay for it. If we're interested in them, if we talk to them and we're interested in them, and they seem to be interested in us, then I think the only fair thing was say, look, you need to come see us, and we need.
Like our top pick.
And yeah,
I don't know that it's so important to see the existing building and where we're gonna build them a new building, which is extremely desirable for a solid waste
know.
director.
I know.
So if they wanna come and see our old building, that's not really reflective of the future. If we say we're gonna have this brand new 13 million, $10 million building,
But we could
that
have
should-
Ryan, but Ryan could maybe give them a presentation on, you know, this is what's envisioned down the road.
yeah,
That's
and,
part
and
of
you,
it.
you were
There's-
talking about getting that for the public anyways.
Yeah,
So if we could
I'm
get
gonna
that
talk
up
to Ryan
and-
to put something together.
And then we
Sure.
would have it for these
Yeah.
candidates. How about
Yeah.
that?
No, that's fine.
So you have, and I'm looking at here, Travis Ricker lives in Madisonville, Kentucky. Tracy Thurman lives in Frankfort, Kentucky. Chris Colby lives in Hendersonville. You have, who has the resume for
Byerly is,
He's in Virginia.
He's in
Virginia.
Virginia.
Okay, Brown is where?
Brown's in Phoenix. Those are only your two distant.
Okay, so essentially, these
Three
three
of the
could
five.
actually, they could actually
They can
make
fit 'em
an
here.
appointment
Yeah,
to
it's a
come
day
here.
trip. 'Cause
And
one,
then,
one of the questions I had is, you know, because I mean, these people have managed or been around these facilities, you know, have they handled these increased volume? Because I mean, the volume's going to increase wherever they are, and how did you handle that? Because that's
those
going to
are
be the issue
questions you
here.
should be asking in the interview
And
too.
even though we're gonna build, Terry, even though we're building a new one, when they have days over here when people are getting ready to fight out here in the street, they need to see what they're gonna have to deal with.
Yeah,
I think they just need to see, it's packed. Yes, we've got some future stuff that's gonna be great,
But it's in the future.
but we're talking about a year,
At least.
Yeah.
and that individual's gotta deal with this stuff.
We could like rely on their brain power and say this is our problem. Can you solve it? We might could get 5 new answers to our
how would
Our
you solve,
process.
how would you solve this? if you
Well, they
were-
might say bring another road here. I don't know. Fly it in by
Well, that's
helicopter.
easier said than done, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying we got 5 people
You
here. We
can-
could ask them a question.
they
We might
can-
get free
They
free
can Google
professional
Earth this right here.
advice.
They can Google this on
Mhm.
Google Earth
Yes.
and look at it, and we can ask that question in the interview. We have,
Yeah.
here's a problem.
Yes.
How would you deal with it?
How would you deal with it? We might come up. I mean, let's don't discard that. There's no answer out there that
Oh,
hasn't been
sure.
considered.
Right.
These are professionals
Well,
in the
If you start
field.
talking about cutting a new road, when I say there's no answer, I mean, to get something done, to cut a new road, all the time we've spent now just getting cities and the county and everybody to get things approved, just to get the roads cut that we're trying to get done here now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're saying, well, we're gonna do this, but it's just gonna be a temporary thing, I don't know.
I was just talking about part of the interview process. See how they think, and see something new on the table.
I just don't wanna.
Not that we
lead
have to go
somebody-
through with it.
Yeah, I just don't wanna lead somebody down a primrose path and the guy comes in here and said, man, you never told me about this.
Well, I would ask them when we call them and you say, hey, Mr. Brown, you're living in Phoenix, you know, we would like you to come out here and look at what we're doing out here. Are you interested in coming to see if you would really want to do this?
Yeah, well, I'm saying that we wouldn't call Mr. Brown, we wouldn't ask Mr. Brown to come to us after we interviewed him
Well, that's what I'm
via Zoom
saying.
or something like that.
But-
Then we could say, basically what we're saying is we like what we see in you and we would like for you to do it. That's what we're saying if we ask them to come.
Basically, almost prepared to make an offer,
Yes,
and his ball's in their court
right,
to some extent. Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm also interested in, you know, how the development of their subordinates. I think that's important in the mentoring process for this
Yeah.
person that
Yeah,
comes
and
in.
another thing, who have you reported to in the past? Have you ever reported to a board of directors as your direct supervisor?
That's a,
And Larry, you've got some, your folks, you've got some elderly folks up here. They're not going to be around here forever either, right?
No, they won't.
well, that's somebody else. That's what I'm saying. In management, you have to know how to hire and fire and all that. So,
Interview, hire, manage, and evaluate. You know how the
yeah, that's all in your
evaluation process. yeah.
management people here. They hopefully have had that experience. So, who's
But
coming
that maybe
today?
it's just an idea to have some more questions added to that.
And I would ask them, have you actually looked at the actual property on Google Earth? Have you what have you done to look at it to see whether
Check
you'd even
this
want
out.
to live here, maybe even in Gallatin? I mean, have you even?
Well, if you want a complete picture, we could send them. You have inspection reports from time. I'm sure they come and inspect. If these people are professionals in the field, they'll know what they're looking at then. So that would, I mean, you can speak to this as a solid waste director. Those reports tell you a lot about the facility and what
Yeah.
goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, would that be, I haven't seen them, but is that,
They can access that online as well,
And some of them
through
may have done
TDEC's
that.
website.
Yeah.
They've
So-
got a data viewer that you can access, but I usually print them when we get them and keep them in a file here.
So
Yeah.
we need to focus on the fact that we gotta interview these people. Our next step is interviewing them. And then, once we interview them and then we figure out our top, like you said, what, 2 or 3, then we ask them to come here. Or come here for the interview, like 3 of them could probably come for an interview and the other 2 would probably do it by Zoom, I would assume.
I don't know how you broach this subject with anybody, but in my opinion, it needs to be somebody that's, you know, and I'm speaking from my experience, somebody that's not afraid to get their shoes or their hands dirty.
That's right.
Sure.
Well, I don't know, Leo.
I'm just saying.
Some,
Well, they don't know until they come.
I don't think they'd ever sign up for solid waste as a career. You'd
Well,
be surprised maybe?
you might be surprised.
some of these people seem to have some of that hands-on experience too. So.
Yeah, they do. I've noticed that in just reading the resumes, but just an observation on my part.
So flushing out the questions, and then we can go on and set a time to go on and get hold of
And we
these
need to do it
4 or 5
sooner than
people,
later,
sooner
because
rather than later,
Larry's on a time frame here.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next,
All right, Mary,
you're gone next week,
would
right?
you make up here some questions I had?
Okay.
You've got the ones that Rick had, just make up a list, would you go through those? I mean, some of them, scratch it, if you know.
If they're duplicate, I'll scratch
Yeah.
them.
And
Yeah,
add-
well, if
you
you
got
got-
some to add, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause-
or take them away,
Terry,
do whatever
as
you
well.
do, you can have that copy.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I'll do that and then I'll send it to y'all, the
If you got
list.
some, Terry, you can.
You got anything?
I think y'all have been very thorough.
Yeah, so I'll pull this all together and then I'll send it to you in an email.
That's good.
And then we need to set these interviews up. So we can either give them we gotta work with you though, Larry, on your schedule, cause you might want, you wanna sit in on these interviews, right?
If you want me to.
I do,
yeah.
I think it's
I think so,
really
sure.
necessary, cause they may have questions for you.
Wasn't the plan to try to do that next week though?
That was, yes.
That's what I thought.
So, I think it's on the, what day?
Is it next Tuesday?
At 4.
Wasn't it?
But we're gonna have to make appointments with them.
Right, I understand that.
So, what is your schedule, if we can just kinda get them a heads up?
I can work my schedule
Around
whatever.
Tuesday?
I already had that kind of marked out anyway,
Right.
because I thought that's what we were talking about.
Today's the 12th, 7 that'd be the 19th. So what if we did something like set out we're gonna have to let them know that they're gonna be interviewed,
Mm-hmm.
and then ask them to give us a time when they're available. Cause one of this guy here on Phoenix time, I mean, he's 2 hours ahead?
Two.
I think.
2 hours.
I think
Um,
two.
You're not-
Maybe have,
I think Phoenix is two,
It
so
might
we're
be,
one.
it might be.
Yeah,
on
'cause they
my
don't do
side.
daylight.
close.
Are you gonna be out of town?
All next week.
I was gonna say, if you wanted to do it by
They don't
Zoom,
change.
you wanted to watch it on Zoom, or be available on
I
Zoom.
don't know, I'm gonna be so far back in the sticks, I don't know what I
Oh,
can
you won't have
do.
internet, okay.
so I would suggest that we as a group have a second date. If this doesn't work out perhaps if nobody can meet on this date, we have a
How
backup
about
date
a
so that we're not
Wednesday?
back at meeting and
Because we're not
discussing.
deliberating, we don't have to have a special held meeting to interview them, we're just interviewing, we're not deliberating on it. So we don't have to have a video, because you don't have to use this. If we're just interviewing, we're not deliberating.
We don't talk about anything.
Right, so we could do September, Tuesday and Wednesday. Those are the 2 days that maybe we could,
Wednesday?
I think that's.
either
all right.
one, you know, what's your availability on either one of these days, and see how that goes. and we can interview them and then go from there. And we may have to do a Zoom interview with Mr. Brown, being that he's so far away, and Miss Virginia.
Whatever.
So we'll have to set the Zoom up. Larry, do you have ability to do Zoom?
I've been in on Zoom meetings before.
I know
but
how
I've
to
never-
do it. I just
But I've never set them up.
okay. So
I've got the Zoom program on my laptop.
okay. Well, I can set it up for you. I'll come by and set it up for you, and we'll send them an
Okay.
invitation for Zoom each time or each interview day for each appointment. We'll send them a specific email, and they'll then they'll come up on the Zoom at that time.
Now, it's my understanding on Zoom, do you have to subscribe to that to be able to have a meeting over a certain period of
I
time?
have it on mine. I subscribed to it, but yeah, I mean, I only did it for 30-45 minutes.
Which would be long
Mhm.
enough.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
just asking,
You don't
because I
have-
thought I'd been
For
told
a
that
company,
before.
yeah, I mean, it may be different, but yeah, but we need to look at your Zoom capability on your computer and send them an email. You'll have to use your email to send the Zoom invitation, and then they'll have to accept it. And that way, they'll be ready. And if they don't do the interview on Zoom,
So Larry
Don't
hasn't
do
done
it.
Zoom. Can you bring your computer and
I
set up
can.
this, and you can set up the meetings, create the Zoom link, and send it to everybody? Because I know from where Larry's at, I've set up Zoom maybe twice, and I'm still not very comfortable with it.
I've never set
Or-
one up, but I've been
Yeah.
on a lot that I've been invited
So if you're
to.
comfortable with
I
that,
can do it on mine, yeah.
and
It's
then
easy to log in and
Larry,
attend
So
the
you want me
meeting.
to send the invitation? I'll send
Probably
it
be
through
better
my
if you
government
had it,
email.
actually.
Because I can do it through my.
and then when
If
she
you don't
brings her
mind.
laptop
Government
here,
email.
she can use your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, okay.
You wanna
We can
do-
do that.
because
I can do
is
it through
that
my
okay with you?
government
Oh,
email.
yeah.
I figured.
Okay.
I don't like setting them up
That's
either.
fine. Yeah.
A meeting this week, is it out of the question to get
This
started? Today's Tuesday.
Friday's the only day I'm available. I've got to work like mega hours this week.
I'm good with Friday if you want to see if these people can meet y'all. If it happened that somebody could get on this, it's closer to your retirement date, Larry.
I understand.
We'll probably only
I'm
knock
not-
out one or two. I mean,
I'm not arguing
they're
with
all
you.
not gonna be available on Friday afternoon. Probably.
Friday. What's the date Friday, y'all? Somebody have a date? The 15th?
It is the 15th.
Okay, yeah, I'm available all day Friday.
Jim, did you, before you head to the woods?
Early, make it early Friday.
Early Friday?
Is that before noon or before
A
2?
little later than 1.
Before 1. Okay. Yeah, they may want to knock it out anyway.
If you do it Friday morning, it'll be fine.
I need their email. Okay, so I'm gonna need their email addresses. They should have all on their resumes. Okay, let's make sure. I've got Tracy Thurman's email. I got Travis Rickers. I need Mr. Brown's. Okay, and I need Verily. And I got Colby's.
You got Browns or you
But I
She's
mean,
got those two.
some of them may want to come, so I'm gonna say you either can do it by Zoom or you can do it, we prefer you come, but if you can't, then you can do it by Zoom. Is that okay, appropriate for, if I send it to them?
Mhm.
All right, I'll send the email to them, let them know that they're being considered for interview, and then, these are the dates.
And then do we tell Jason to notify? No, we don't notify anybody until we're done.
Yeah, so we may go back to
Pile.
the drawing board.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We got some other folks too, so I feel pretty good.
we'll start here. This is a good
Those are a
start.
good 5 people.
All right. And you're gone all next week. Okay.
Anything else? Anybody got anything?
All's well?
Do y'all have any questions? Okay.
I do.
You do?
If you don't mind.
Sure.
I saw 2 candidates, Michael Mundell, he's in Arkansas, and he's a solid waste director, he's received awards, 20 years experience only doing solid waste and 20 years in the military. And Samantha St. John, her whole, she's was an assistant director and executive director of recycling. I'm just curious if there's
What was the other name? I'm sorry. Mundell and who?
St. John.
And I did look at St. John this afternoon, and she was close to getting in my pile, but it was just the recycling thing, and maybe we do need help in that area, because we just have our recycled.
You feel like it was just too narrow with just recycling, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was narrow. We need
See her.
process. We do need to develop our recycling, but I'm not getting a appetite for anyone for additional convenience centers to do recycling anywhere. Maybe if we had somebody to cheerlead it, that might be a good thing. That is the way of the future.
I had made, she was in Miami. She's in Colombo, Indiana now.
Yeah, she's in Indiana, that's the county, Miami, not Florida.
So that's I
Right.
do recall hers. Do you have any comments?
I read through her resume, but I thought the same thing you just said,
No.
Terry.
And what was the other name? I just need.
Mundell?
I just need to look at it.
I put it on the reserve.
If I'd known that we could get printed copies, I would have been better off.
Yeah,
And I read, of course, I read through all these resumes, but one question I had about Mundell and was his solid waste director, City of Hot Springs. He was only there about 6 months or something. And I was wondering,
Why he wants to leave so
well,
quick.
why he left. He's already left and working as a counterparts man at a.
Oh, he's the one that left the
In
auto
auto
parts or
Yeah,
something.
he
That was
did.
the one.
He
we
went to
saw.
auto parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was confusing.
I was just curious about that. That was a question mark I had when I read through this.
I forgot that.
But the thing was,
Okay.
I recall, I did look at his not today, but last week, and I thought it was interesting. He's just gotten to the parts place. So if we were to take off, if he had stayed at his solid waste director, he's left there in February. If he had still been there today, his resume would have went to the very top. And it was just so odd that he's now overworking at the parts store.
Yeah, I just had a question mark on that, what I put on it.
I'd mark him number 6 on my.
Do you have a
I mean,
question?
Well, seeing how you asked, I remember vividly sitting in a similar situation. We were looking to hire a new manufacturing manager for a plant. And we all had our interviews and we sat down and we were comparing notes. And the vice president of human resources says, well, Kevin, let's start with you. Let's go down the list of candidates. And I said, well, I would rule out number A immediately because he's about 50 pounds overweight. And he looked at me and says, you can't say that. I said, yes, I can. We're looking for an operations manager. And this is to Larry's point. When you're looking for somebody that's, are they willing to get their feet dirty or not? My point was, I've never met a manufacturing person running a plant that wasn't running around all day long.
Right.
And when you're 50 pounds overweight, you can't do it.
Leadership by example.
That's exactly right.
Good point.
Mary, or whoever.
Me? Well, that's all of them.
It appears that we're heading for a catastrophic train wreck with solid landfills. Do any of these people have experience in, one, severe recycling, and number 2,
Yeah.
incineration?
Yeah, so 2 of them.
We used to
And
do that.
then,
We used to incinerate, right, Larry?
and then back to like, what do they have?
That's a recycling plant too, or,
Yeah.
that's what it was built for originally.
Yeah.
We had people sorting stuff going and coming.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, we
Long
cannot
gloves.
continue to bury stuff and expect not to have ramifications.
I agree.
Plus, it's expensive as well.
And
At that time, we were burning, and we would have a shortfall here of about $1.5 million every year that the county paid 3/7, Hendersonville paid 2/7, and Gallatin paid 2/7.
A shortfall financially because of the cost
Financially, yeah,
of
we're $1.5 million
incineration.
in the hole.
Well, I know it's more expensive than landfills, but
Yeah,
it's inevitable. And it's inevitable with solid sewage as well.
And I'm still a proponent of waste energy in the right situation myself, but just to give you an example, since it got brought up, I got an email, news email this week in Pasco County, Florida. There's a lot of waste energy plants in Florida. It's become the waste energy plant capital of the United States, I guess, so to speak. But Pasco County, Florida's got about 1,000 to 1,100 ton per day waste energy plant. And the article was about, they got their operating contract with Covanta, who's a big name in the waste energy business and solid waste as well, to expand that plant capacity another 500 tons per day and extend the operating contract. Cost was $550 million. It's a lot of money. That's the kicker.
Yeah, I understand.
Are there any trends towards cradle to grave? I mean, what's our liability down the road when we send off hazardous materials or materials that we think are benign, but get buried, and then 10 years down the road they start seeing a problem? Do we have any liability for that?
There's been a lot of discussion about that over the years in solid waste. And you still hear a lot of discussion about trying to work with manufacturers about that very thing you're talking about. Because manufacturers make this stuff, people buy it,
Right.
and then nobody knows what to do with it after that.
Can I,
Can I say a quick comment back to the business here at hand with the interviews? Mondell, is that his name? I'm not on your committee, but if I were you with that kind of a resume, I'd want to know
Yeah.
why he's not in solid
That's
waste. He
what I was
sent
just
his
gonna say,
resume
yeah.
in, so he's obviously interested. If he has that kind of a resume, political garbage happens, as we know, everywhere. Who knows why he left that job? I would want to know. He sent in the resume, he's got a great thing. There may be a perfectly logical reason why he is right now not in waste management. That would be my, if I were on your committee, I'd say, let's at least ask him, find out why. He wouldn't have sent the resume in if he wasn't interested.
I'm happy to reconsider as I look at it.
Well, I would at
His
least
certification is through 2024, Texas Municipal Solid Waste A license, good through February of 2024. I mean, it's not like he's just like stepped away.
And who knows why? We don't know what happened down there, up there, wherever.
And I tell you what I like 21 years in the U.S. Army.
So
Right,
that
he's
works
on-
for
he's
me.
close. He's
Saw
on
that
top.
as well.
Yeah,
Works for
so
me.
I'm open to reconsider adding one more.
He's used to the southern culture.
What's his name?
Mundell,
Mondale.
Jim.
Jim Mundell. Where's he
Mike-
live?
Michael.
Michael.
Michael
Sorry.
Mundell.
Yeah,
I was asking Jim what his thoughts are. No, Hot
Excuse me.
Springs, Arkansas.
Hang on. Hang on.
I'm just throwing.
I opened that Pandora's
Open the
box.
gate, yep.
You did.
Close door.
All
So-
the comments are over.
Should've done that in the beginning. Michael Mondell. Let me see that
If
thing.
y'all are,
I'm okay with it, yeah.
So, do I need to,
He was number 6 on my list.
I've gotta have his email,
Does
so
he
he's
have
on
any
the interview.
Experience in incineration or recycling?
I don't know. County has $550 million. That's the thing. I think, we can look outside the box, but we've gotta find somebody to replace Larry that has good experience and all that, and then those people come in and they start looking like you're talking about, David, is looking at other alternative energy sources and waste management, because you're right, we're in a crisis, and, when you stick your garbage can out by the side of the road, you don't realize that there's a process. And if you've ever been to the bigger, the dumps where they're piled sky high with trash and stuff like that, there's a lot of issues with, like you said, leaching and things like that. So I understand what you're saying. So what I need to do is send him as well. So
So 6, we got 6 down
okay,
there.
I don't see that as a problem. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those are the 6 people that we've got on the board. And you're going to be available on Friday till 1. Okay. I'll take care of
Are
that.
you okay with Mundell, Larry, as well?
I had him on my list originally. There was just one question I had about it.
Hearts
It
and
just seemed odd to me.
Yeah.
And there may be a,
Good
I mean,
reason, exactly.
I wasn't trying to judge the man, I'm just,
sometimes you
We
need
were
a
trying to
break.
stand the rank.
yeah, just,
We've got some, I mean, like I said, we've got good people, so that's
Sometimes,
the
well,
good
they're
news.
very good.
Yeah,
And sometimes, you know, situation, you need to take a break.
yeah. No, I
You know.
agree. All right.
Maybe he started the store and he's working in the store and he owns it. What do you think about that? I don't know. Could be. Is
Anything else?
that it?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye, goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, yeah. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all for
Thank y'all for coming. Thanks for the questions.
Thanks for making room for us.
That's good.
It didn't feel like it was breathing down your
No,
neck.
no, you're fine, you're fine.
Turn that off.
it's all.
You gonna do it?